Hello and welcome to another episode of Game Reviewify. Today we're going to reviewify Spiderman and Venom Maximum Carnage for the Super Nintendo. In this decade of gaming, 1994, games based off comic books were hard to get into. Basically, it was either poor stories, bad graphics, and horrible controls. But we were all grateful for one of the greatest comic book games, Spider-Man and Venom Maximum Carnage. To this day, this is still a playable game and feels like a game you could see redone on the Xbox 360. Back in 1994, this was one of the greatest games, and the graphics were one of the greatest at the time of release. If I can remember correctly, though this game on both systems had similar graphics, the only thing I found lacking, and it happens in most Sega Genesis games, is the sound was a little rough, and that's because Sega always based their systems on the arcade platforms, and the sound wasn't always great, but the gameplay was always fun. The story in this game takes place from the actual comic book of the same name, and this is what separates itself from other comic book games, because most comic book games don't use an actual story based off the comics. Sometimes they create a story to go with the flow of the events in the Marvel or DC Comics universe. Sometimes this isn't always bad, but sometimes this isn't always great. But with Spider-Man and Venom Maximum Carnage, we don't run into any problems here. This game features Marvel heroes and villains from the Marvel Universe, most notably Spider-Man and Venom, but also contains Captain America, Black Cat, Iron Fist, Cloak and Dagger, Deathlock, Morbius, the Living Vampire, and Firestar. And for the villains, you get Carnage, Shriek, Doppelganger, Demogoblin, and Carrion. In the game, you'll play as Spider-Man, and a bit later in the game, you'll be able to play as Venom. It won't matter what character you select, as both characters have the same action moves, but look different. Though I would say this is one of the finest games made by LGN, there's always an issue with their games. And in this one, I found the difficulty to be rather high, and you only get a couple continues, so to really enjoy this game, you'll probably have to find some cheats. Also, without a two-player mode, this game is at its hardest. Another issue with this game is there is no options in this game, and of course, I guess we have to give an applause to LGN for this one, because they always have to throw in or miss something that'll make us turn our backs on a game. The controls in this game were actually pretty good. I had no issues with them. You can also probably enjoy using an arcade stick controller to get a better arcade feel out of this game, as it is morely based off arcade gaming. Well, I guess it's time to give a score on this game. I really do enjoy this game. The graphics at the time this game was made were top-notch, and the story was amazing as well. The sound was pretty decent, you can't really complain about the sound. The music was created by the band Green Jelly, but of course, you can't make rock and CD quality music for the Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis, so they made a computerized version of their music. It didn't sound too bad, but of course don't expect the quality you're looking for. The issues I did have with this game was the difficulty. Luckily, with some cheats, you can finish the story. There is no two-player mode. It somewhat makes sense as it follows the story of Spider-Man, and he has no sidekick. What is a game without an options menu? Any game that is almost as difficult as this one deserves an option menu, so we can get an easier difficulty, possibly choose how many continues we get. The worst part of this game is no options, which makes this game pretty damn difficult. But of course, anybody could think it's difficult and still find this game fun to play. So I'm going to give this game a 7.0 out of 10. Yes, it's playable, yes, it's fun, but it's damn difficult. So use the cheat you can find on the internet, and you'll be able to beat this game. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope you return for another video from Game Reviewify.